Conflict of interest is when the best interest of an individual is not in the best interest of another person or organization to which that individual should have loyalty. For example, an employee may simultaneously help himself but hurt his employer by taking a bribe to purchase inferior goods for the company. A conflict of interest can also exist when a person must answer to two different individuals or groups whose needs are at odds with each other. In this case, serving one individual or group will injure the other, like when a person offers the same service to two competing companies. A conflict of interest is a clash between personal or self-serving interests and professional duties or responsibilities. Such a conflict occurs when a company or person has vested interest in which decision-making can be biased. For example, auditors owe a duty of loyalty to investors who rely upon the financial reports that the auditors certify. But auditors are hired and paid directly by the companies whose reports they review. The duty of loyalty an auditor owes to investors can be at odds with the auditor's need to keep the company happy, as well as with the company's desire to look like a safe investment. So those of us who wish to be ethical people must consciously avoid situations where we benefit ourselves by being disloyal to others. When such a situation arises, the party is usually asked to remove themselves. The financial scandal of Enron and Bernie Madoff are examples of the devastating repercussions of conflict of interest. The forms of conflict of interest are potential conflict of interest, perceived conflict of interest, actual conflict of interest, conflict of duty, and nepotism. This is when a person has private interests that could conflict with their public duties. This refers to circumstances where it is foreseeable that a conflict may arise in the future and steps should be taken now to mitigate that future risk. An example of this conflict are political dynasties. How can policies that favor the citizens and the principle of check and balance be represented when the senator, congressman, mayor, and vice mayor come from one family? Another is when private business owners become public officials and in the process gaining undue advantages. This is when a public or a third party could form the view that a person of authority or person with interests could improperly influence decisions or actions. It is important to understand that there may be nothing unethical occurring, but the participation of certain individuals may be perceived with a bad light or may erode public confidence in the proceedings. When a public official is seen frequently with private contractors, when an election contributor wins a public bidding for a lucrative contract, these examples may be without malice. However, it does create a lot of doubt about the true intentions. This is also called real conflict of interest. The personal interest is in place during the exercise of the duties, and the ethical dilemma is immediately experienced. Take note during the exercise of the duty. This means an actual decision and action has been made, and it resulted in something unethical. The state of Oregon in the United States defines actual conflict of interest as any action or any decision or recommendation by a person acting in a capacity as a public official, the effect of which would be the private pecuniary benefit of the person or person's relative. So, an act has been made. Note that in the previous types of conflicts of interest, both potential and perceived, there's no evidence yet of any action taken by the person. Conflict of duty will arise when a person is required to fulfill two or more roles that may actually, potentially, or be perceived to be in conflict with each other. Example is when the president of a bank is a board member for one of its auditing firms. Nepotism is a particular type of conflict of interest. It strictly applies to a situation in which a person uses his or her public power to obtain a favor for a member of his or her family, or when the person of authority grants favors for family members. Allowing family members to participate in public biddings and prioritizing them in business opportunities are examples of nepotism.